Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic, and welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited to be able to share with you a reboot of the Beyond Disclosure series. If you've been following me for a while, you know that this series was deleted by YouTube a couple of years ago, and I'm excited to reboot and to find a new home here on Rumble. And who better to reboot the series with than Mr. Dick Allgire? You can find his work, of course, now at futureforecastinggroup.com. And as always, on YouTube still at Crypto Viewing. Mr. Allgire, Dick, welcome back to the show. How are you?
It's great to be with you. See if we can do this on YouTube and not get kicked off. You know, Jean-Claude, I've been watching all the tributes to Jimmy Buffett on Facebook. They are never ending. And I decided to take something good from his life. It's never too late. Every tribute to him, every picture, every video, he is smiling and joyous. And I decided I'm going to try to smile more. I used to work with a sportscaster in Salt Lake City, Utah. Many, many years ago, I was a young producer in the booth. And this sportscaster, Bill Marcroft, we could see the camera before on the preview before we came live. And coming out of the commercial break, they'd give 5, 4. At about 3, he would just give this big laugh. He'd go, and he would come on with this big laugh and this big smile. And I'm going to try to do that more often. Like, I get very serious sometimes, you know, because it's serious stuff, you know.
So do I. We get into a lot of serious matters, and I smile, and I honestly enough, I get flack sometimes for smiling too much. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to calibrate with all of this stuff. Sometimes we're looking at, so that's a good thing. And a lot of people tell me, "Oh, JC, you're smiling at the beginning of the intro. You're faking it." I'm like, no, because usually my guests tell me something really funny as I'm in the countdown, and I can't stop the countdown to go live. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching, everyone, for joining us here today on YouTube and also on Rumble. Just to let you know, guys, we're going to spend a few minutes with you here on YouTube, and I'm bringing the link down now to the live chat on YouTube so that you guys can join us on Rumble for that full uncensored conversation. We don't want any more YouTube deletions or any more strikes here. So that's the link, guys. If you want to go and follow us now on the Rumble feed, we'll meet you there in a couple of seconds here. We are simulcasting on both channels. Dick, before we start, a couple of things I wanted to ask you, just for the audience members who've been following you for a while, they might not be aware yet that you've moved over from Patreon, I'm assuming for censorship reasons as well, and that you've created this brand new website here, which is absolutely amazing. I've just recently made the transition. Explain what happened to the audience members and what they can find here and what the benefits are from moving over from Patreon to this new futureforecastinggroup.com.
Well, what we do, Jean-Claude, is in a private forum. So what we have found that if you're presenting something in a private setting to members who pay a membership, there is no you can say whatever you want. All right, there are no restrictions. If you're doing it in public, and it's the same thing right now, we're doing part of this on YouTube, and then you have to move to Rumble because we might get into something sensitive and we don't want to get into trouble.
Right.
We were on Patreon. Patreon takes 8%. And so we also were having, we wanted to be sure we were compliant because we have subscribers around the world and there was tax issues, and so we found a better solution, which is Stripe, and we set up a Wise banking. You know, the whole financial technology scene is changing, so we went to like a Web3 compliant. We're just upgrading everything, and it works out better. I don't really have much to do with that, with the IT and the billing. I'm more just remote viewing,
right?
So. But we are at futureforecastinggroup.com, and you buy a membership. And right today we have a free 7-day trial, so that people can go see this. I don't want to come on and pimp this LAZAR thing, you know, and upsell it. Like, oh, go see the LAZAR. So if you want to just see that, you can get a 7-day membership, watch it, and if you don't like the rest of our material, just cancel.
Right,
so it's no problem.
That's
But
great. So
we
guys,
have hundreds of videos up there and amazing remote viewing. We think
well, I wanted to say that because on Patreon, I had the same issues as you on Patreon. I've moved away from that, and we have our own pay-per-view site now for the last 2 years. But on top of having those issues of censorship, the building, and all that, and the compliance, I found that Patreon was very cumbersome for a guy like me, for a guy like you, who produces a lot of content. The scroll was becoming very long, and I have to say, your new site here is amazing. The way you've broken it down. I'll show some share screens for the audience members here in a little bit. So, guys, please do go check it out for free here, 7 days. You can't lose there, and of course, there's a lot of content there. You're probably going to be binge watching here for the next couple of days. Let me bring up a page here that I created for this series on our BeyondMystic.net site. You can go to BeyondMystic.net/Beyond Disclosure. This is the static page now that will be up and running every time I bring up a new guest here on this Beyond Disclosure series. There you're going to see the topics for today. We're going to talk about the moon, financial system, Maui, UFOs, disclosure, and Bob Lazar. Maybe we can get away from with talking about the moon here a little bit on YouTube. The rest, we're going to keep it for the Rumble conversation. And guys, here's the link, of course, to the Bob Lazar. It says coming soon, but it's available now here.
And Jean-Claude, I have breaking news. I have something that's going to blow your mind.
Tell me.
Well, we'll get to it after we talk about Bob Lazar. We have a new
you have a way to tease the audience there, Dick.
We have a new remote viewing project, and Cliff High is involved in it. And
that's going to be cool. Actually, I kind of heard rumblings of that. So we've been in communication, the four of us, for a couple of weeks there. So I think I know what you guys are.
I heard that Cliff High was interested in something we were working on, and I'm kept in the dark because I don't get any communication. What I get is an email with a target ID, which was like, what was it? B7N3-Q7L4, right. Like, okay, put the data in. And I'm hearing Cliff High is putting stuff out on Twitter. Dick Allgire is going to blow your mind. And I'm going, I am?
So, I agree, by the way. This is going to be a fabulous episode.
I now know what it is, and I'll tell you later. We'll do that teaser. People have to sit through the Bob Lazar, but I have not talked about it yet. I'm breaking it with you. And
okay, very good. So, folks, stay tuned for that. And on that page, again, guys, on the BeyondMystic.net/Beyond Disclosure, I also put the link. We're going to have a conversation about this today, about the congressional hearings here on the UFO UAP Oversight Committee. This was the condensed version that was put together by Carrie Cassidy at Project Camelot. I asked her yesterday permission to show this to you guys and to give you the link so that you can go see that and share that with your friends. It's a really good 4 or 5 minute clip there. So you'll find that there. And on the top of the page, of course, as always, the great silver bar giveaway. Nothing to buy there. Just enter the to win here with the newsletter. And we'll be having Andy Scheckman on the video very soon here to launch another one of these amazing bars for you. Okay, Dick, let's get into the moon. A couple of weeks ago, I did have Cliff High on the show for this wacky woo episode with Jason at 4. It got really wacky, and we were talking about weird activities on the moon, the idea that perhaps a generator of sorts or a new form of propulsion or reactor was being activated here. The moon seems to be acting differently. Here we're comparing the Death Star with the moon. You've done remote viewings in the past on the moon or tangentially here with respect to our orbit. What can you tell the audience members here? And do you also think, like Cliff High, that his web data is suggesting right now that something from around the moon might be coming for us sooner rather than later? What can you share with the audience members on the moon?
I'm not sure about Cliff's data. I can tell you a couple information that we have through our own remote viewing. The most recent remote viewing we did on the moon was the Israelis put a lander up there called Bereshit about 2 or 3 years ago. And the thing, I remember watching it live. They had the mission control center and they go, oh, this is historic. You know, they're landing live and it's in the atmosphere and the countdown. And then they went, oh, we've lost, and it was gone. And so I thought that would be an interesting remote viewing target, because I was watching it in real time, and so I was immersed in it. My consciousness was immersed in it, and that's a good way to do a remote viewing target, when you really are paying attention to something. So I slapped a target ID on that and went Bereshit Moonlander crash event, and I gave it to Daz and to Edward Reardon blind a few weeks later, after the thing wasn't in the news. And Daz had a orbiting object that was going through an atmosphere and then shot down. And Edward Reardon had an amazing session, and this is all published on our site with the membership. You can go see this work. Reardon is drawing double blind now with no coaching, and he's doing a whiteboard, and he's got like, wow, this is a really barren place, and there's a crater, and he says, then there's a mission control center where there's people in there, they're watching some technology, and it has to do with the moon. And then he goes, oh my God, they just lost it. And he described it as a mousetrap going off, like the thing came in and something triggered it, and it took it out.
Wow.
So that was really interesting data, that seeming to indicate that the Bereshit lander that the Israelis put up there was in a place off limits, like you're not allowed to go.
Well, we were kind of told that in the mid-century to maybe not come back here. This Bereshit spacecraft was in April of 2019. Now, what's interesting, Dick, and I wanted to bring this to your attention also, Russia just recently, another spacecraft crash on the moon, Japan going up there as well, and India, and I believe Australia also is new to the game here recently. What in your view is happening on the moon? Why the sudden activity there? Have you guys looked at anything or do you have any personal insights on that?
Well, after the Bereshit, we tasked another target, and that involved human bases on the moon that were there since the late 1930s. It's our information that the Germans had UFO technology, and they had made it to the moon. Not from remote viewing, but from other sources, that some of the Apollo astronauts made it there, but not with Apollo, and it was a Freemason thing. A lot of the moon is just a really, really interesting place, and not as they tell us.
Mm-hmm. I had Bruce Zizal yesterday, who has this amazing telescope, and he's been following the moon for quite some time. He's captured these amazing structures, a lot of activities, fleets of ships, not just one, like explosions. There seems to be a lot going on in the last couple of months to suggest that maybe there's a war going on, maybe there's a battle for territory of sorts. Now, with respect to what's happening in our world right now, we're in transition now. You guys have been following this a long time here on Crypto Viewing when you talk about the financial system. But in terms of where we are going for our evolution as a species, we're also seeming to be brought now to perhaps this next level. Do you think that this latest activity on the moon is somehow related to these space programs, to our evolution, to us trying to get a little bit of a upper hand on our own trajectory, or is there something else at play here?
That's a big question. Somebody made this place, somebody made us, and somebody's been watching over us and administering us. And I think the moon is key to that. And I think there have always been bases on the moon. Mm-hmm. So I think it has to do more with that. The financial system, the transition of the financial system, it is all going to digital blockchain distributed ledger. The ultimate purpose of the financial system is the commerce. The Earth is a corporation. It's commerce. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And keeping track of your main product, which would be humanity, requires a lot of accounting. And in the past, the accounting has been done through nation states, through counties, where they do the counting in the counties. And now it's going to go to a system that is going to be distributed ledger, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and we won't need nation states so much anymore. So that's the overreaching, the big picture answer to that.
That's a sacrilegious answer there for you too, man. Okay,
we'll break that to you, but yeah, that's a tough one to swallow.
It's a tough one. Let me bring the link down to the Rumble feed here again. Sorry, to the YouTube, so you guys can follow us on Rumble. I am going to disconnect here in the next 4 seconds from the YouTube feed, so please do.
Am I getting you in trouble already? I've gone off the rails.
No. We're 15 minutes in. It's a good intro. We'll leave it at that. If I need to scrub it, I'll scrub it. People can watch the whole episode, of course, here on Rumble. So let me just remove